Hey, you YouTube and Snapchat and fuckers. Welcome back to another installment of the Friday Wrap-Up. Well, I mean, before we get kicked off, I'd like to just tip my hat to today's libation. The fine Irish lads up in Ireland in Cork County. Today we're drinking a little Corona juice, a little Jameson's Irish whiskey. This will chase the Corona blues away. A couple bottles of this shite, and you'll be feeling fit as a fiddle in an Irish pub. Gotta love that Jameson's. I don't know what the fuck they put in that Irish whiskey, but that shit will cure cancer. I mean, this is what people ask me. Aren't you afraid of getting the coronavirus? Nope. You know why? I go through enough Irish whiskey that I can fucking cure cancer. So that's why. All right, so we got a big week, kids. I mean, every day I wake up, it's like a new kind of crazy in the world. I'm afraid to put the fucking news on half the time. And today's no fucking different. So, we're going to go through the whole fucking rigmarole one more time. Okay, everything from Corona updates to the fucking shit with the election and so on and so forth. So, here's your disclaimer, kids. Okay, if you're very sensitive, okay, if you get butthurt easy, then just get the fuck out of here. Click off now. You got the libation, go. Get out of here. All right, otherwise, if you're going to stick around for the rest of the show, buckle up, baby, because we're going to dive right in. So this week's Corona update, this is a doozy. So, Mayor Muppet Hands. I'm going to start with him this week. Mayor Muppet Hands has officially closed all New York City schools until further notice. Because the cases in New York City, not the schools, but the cases that are in the city have spiked to 3%. Okay? Everything else, for the time being, thankfully, remains open. Restaurants, museums, bars, gyms, all that shit still remains open. Now, parents are frustrated by this. Okay? And I get it, but at the same time, I don't understand why they're fucking frustrated. They've only been saying this for like the last week and a half to 2 weeks that they were going to do this shit. I mean, shit, in September, if you didn't expect that they were going to close the fucking schools at some point during the year, you're brain dead. All right, so they're all frustrated, and they keep when they question this witless wimp as to why bars and restaurants and gyms and private schools are allowed to remain open, instead of answering, he blurts out like an hysterical fucking muppet, like the Swedish Chef, like his fucking hands started flailing. He blurts out that it's only a matter of time before Cuomo's going to close those too. Okay, hysterical muppet. Rather than actually answer the fucking question. And the reason that the schools in New York City are closed has nothing to do with child safety. I mean, if you just fucking sterilize the schools are fine. And truthfully, there really hasn't been any reports of kids in the school getting the coronavirus. The reason he's doing this is to appease that corrupt teachers union that's in New York City that doesn't know their fucking ass from their dick. I mean, that's really what the reason is. So, but it's just he threw nostrils under the bus instead, which I don't feel too bad about that. But at the same time, I thought it was fucking funny. So as for Governor Nostrils, our fearless dictator in Albany, he's doubling down on his Gestapo rule of New York. Okay, so as for the curfew on restaurants, bars, and and the 10-person home gathering rule, that still stays. We don't know how long it's going to stay, but it still stays. Okay? Although some New York sheriffs are refusing to enforce the 10-person rule in some upstate counties because they deem it unconstitutional. And you know what? They're not fucking wrong. Okay? However, in order to double down on that, Cuomo has deemed most of the Hudson Valley an orange zone, which means it's not quite a red zone yet. It's in between. So, any non-essential businesses are limited. Like restaurants can't have indoor or outdoor seating. It's just takeout only, that type of shit. So it's going to seriously impact the economy up there, especially now that we're getting close to the fucking holidays, which I got my thoughts on that too. So hang on. All right. So get this shit. I almost fell out of my fucking chair when I saw this yesterday. This asshole is supposedly due a $25,000 fucking raise next year. Can you imagine? So, and he ain't gonna refuse it. So that's gonna bring him up to about $250,000 a year. That's how much this jerk off gets to fuck up the state of New York. $250,000 a year. Okay, I work a lot harder than that. I don't make $250. Okay, so he's getting $250 a year to fuck up the state. Now, I personally don't think this jerk off's worth $2.50, but our taxpayer dollars are paying him $250,000 a year to fuck everything up. If he was any kind of a stand-up guy, he wouldn't take it. I mean, the state's broke, right? We got fucking budget problems coming out of our eyeballs, all right? Fucking unemployment is shot. People are out of work. Now he's closing businesses. Fucking everybody's on a goddamn breadline soon. He's taking a $25,000 pay hike. He shouldn't. But, of course, he ain't going to refuse it. I mean, you know, why would he? He's a Democrat. Anyhow, this is also the same jerk-off that wrote a book that we released in October about how his wonderful leadership skills have flattened the curve of the COVID-19 virus in New York State. And yet this week, he's been like an hysterical woman, screaming that the rates are spiking, and he's going fucking nuts. Matter of fact, he yelled at a reporter, I believe it was yesterday or the day before. This reporter questioned him as to whether or not the New York City schools were closing. And he went fucking nuts. You're confused. You don't know what you're talking about. The valves, the numbers, all of that shit. His nostrils flaring. He yelled at the guy, berated him, and insisted that the New York City schools weren't going to fucking close. And then 20 fucking minutes later, that fuckstick in the city closes the schools. You can't make this shit up. I mean, like, I don't... It's just... If I wasn't a fucking New Yorker in the middle of this shit, I would find this to be hysterical. I mean, I laugh, but it's not really fucking funny. But yet it is. For someone who's always talking about numbers, here's the question I have. See, this is me. I sift through all of this shit. For someone who's so fixated on numbers, right? He seems to be, he can't get past the fucking number 10. He's like the Count on Sesame Street, like 1, 2, 9, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like, I mean, everything's 10. If you notice, maybe it's just a coincidence. I don't know. Okay, so bars and restaurants have to close at what? 10 o'clock. Okay. Wait, I'm going somewhere with this. No more than 10 people per household. If you violate that, you get a $10,000 fine. But what is it with the fucking number 10 with the coronavirus? Is it like a magic number or something? Is it code for something? I don't understand. Okay? I mean, it's like, is he channeling his inner Pacino? Like, you can't handle 9. It's got to be 10. Hoo-ah! I mean, I don't know. What the fuck? Everything is 10. First of all, if you get a minute, I'm sure you can find it on Google or YouTube, whatever. YouTube his press conference where he berates a reporter. And not so much for him, but watch the fucking sign language guy in the lower right-hand corner. This man delights me to no end. I swear to God, that's the job I want. Okay? Because he's going like this. I mean, he was having some kind of a fucking epileptic fit in the corner signing as Cuomo's losing his goddamn mind. I swear to God, I almost pissed myself. That was the most entertaining part of the whole fucking thing. So... that's your Cuomo update. Now, next up, the CDC. Very important, the CDC. Center for Disease Control. Because they're controlling things left and right. They're always so accurate. The CDC is urging people now to stay home and not celebrate Thanksgiving, as they fear it will be a super spreader as opposed to, BLM riots and the Biden celebrations. Those were okay, but, Thanksgiving isn't. Apparently, joy is the only thing that causes the coronavirus. Well, thank God we figured that shit out. So, if you celebrate Thanksgiving, you're basically going to kill your entire fucking family. That's what they're saying to you. Now, I've seen some of your family members, so maybe I haven't. I don't know you, some of you, but I'm sure you got 1 or 2 family members you could do without. You know what I mean? But that's what the CDC is saying. If you don't want to kill your family, don't have fucking Thanksgiving. So, that's your corona update. I mean, you can't get better than that, kids. So, we all wait all week long for it. That magical, mystical fucking ride into the unknown. And just about to pull out of the station. Oh, bud! Woo-hoo! Crazy trains leaving the station. Here we go. Okay, first up, Rudy Giuliani's press conference yesterday. Now, some of you are, staunch Biden supporters that insist Joe Biden won the fucking election fair and square. Yeah. And I'm sure you still believe in the fucking tooth fairy too. And then there's some of us that, have a brain in our head and we look at things and we go, it doesn't seem right. Like, how do you win an election by 2:30 in the morning and then the next morning, it's like you never even fucking ran? Like, how did that happen? But, and for weeks they've been claiming that, the election was rigged, there was voter fraud and all this other shit, and people are going, there's no proof, where's the proof, where's the proof, CNN, where's the proof? Now, let me explain something to you. You don't build a case like that. And if you got high-powered attorneys that are taking on these cases, they aren't going to take on the cases unless there's some substantial evidence so that they don't look fucking foolish. Now, I'm not a big Rudy Giuliani fan, okay? I've said this in the past. I know he was a good mayor in New York City. He reduced the level of crime dramatically, cleaned up Times Square. I mean, he did his job a little too good in certain places, but I'll digress. But yeah, okay, he was a good mayor. But I never really liked the guy, okay? That's just me. But lest we forget, he was the Attorney General for the state and he was the Assistant AG for the country under Reagan. So this is a guy that can smell a crime from a fucking mile away, okay? Now, let me just give you a little background on this man, okay? He's Italian, he's from Brooklyn, and he made going after the mob in New York his personal vendetta, and that's because his father was an enforcer for the mob back in the day. So I guess he's got a little personal vendetta. So he made it his fucking mission as the state AG to go after these guys and prosecute them, and he was fairly successful in a lot of areas. I hate to admit that, but he was. So my point being is, one, he's relentless when it comes to crime. It takes a lot to bring down a mob boss, okay? It's not an easy task. And two, this guy's used to sniffing out fucking criminals, okay? So just keep that in mind. One of the other lead attorneys, Sidney Powell. She's another fucking force to be reckoned with. Tall, very, very dry type of woman, but very, very smart. Brilliant lady. Was a chief federal prosecutor at one point before she went private practice. So this is another fucking sharp person, okay? Now, I hate to use the term sharp and Giuliani in the same sentence, but I call a spade, all right? I may not like him personally, but he's not a stupid man, okay? And this Sidney Powell is a brilliant legal mind. Brilliant. And, I say that few and far between when it comes to attorneys. So, anyhow, so just keep this in mind. So, the other day they gave a press conference, and they finally kind of laid out their legal strategy a little bit, to a degree. They're not going to tell the press all of their proof, okay? Because judges frown on that shit. You bring evidence before a judge, they want to be the first ones to see it so that it's not compromised. Okay? Another little legal lesson for you kids. All right? So, but he gave the press an overview, which of course they said, there's no proof. He showed it to them. He showed them some of it. Not all of it, but some of it. And they don't get it because they're fucking morons. Okay? But anyhow. So he laid out his legal strategy. Now they're going to attack this from a couple different vantage points. Okay. Now here's my interpretation of this. With all these big shot lawyers on board, including Alan Dershowitz, okay, who's a Democrat by the way, they have evidence to win this, to turn this over. Should it get past the judge? Okay, they got to first get it through the state level. If it gets tossed out at the state, then they can appeal to the federal Supreme Court. So I believe they're hoping this gets tossed out at the state level. Hear me out on this. So they're going to take this down a couple different roads. Voter fraud and inaccuracies. Okay, so they have affidavits, thousands upon thousands. They only talked about a couple because certain people don't want their identities. The majority of these people don't want their identities mentioned on the fucking news because they're getting harassed by the leftists, Antifa, BLM, run-of-the-mill fucking Democrats. And I'm not picking on all the Democrats, by the way, because there are some of them out there that are good. Okay, I know it's an oxymoron, but there are a few out there that are good. I'm talking about these socialist fucking radicals. Okay, that's pretty much what's in the forefront of the Democratic Party. Listen, the Democratic Party is pretty fucking divided too. You got the old guard, which, you know, they're liberal, but they're not fucking mental. Okay, and then you got the new regime, your Pelosi's, your Schumer's, your AOC's, that are like fucking hell-bent left-wing socialists. Okay? So that's the group I'm picking up, because these people are fucking one step away from being a communist. All right? So they have thousands of affidavits attesting to voter fraud and affirming that observers were not allowed in the count rooms in certain areas, and or obstructed if they were allowed. So they were put like 1,000 feet or 100 feet back where they can't see nothing. They were harassed. They were harangued. And every county had a different procedure for handling the voter count, which is illegal because it's regulated by the state, not by the county. So every fucking county in the state has to do it the same way. That's the point. So this is one of the ways that they're going to attack this. Okay. Inaccuracies, voter fraud, and things of that nature. So they have evidence for that. Okay. Even the head of the Federal Electoral Commission, a gentleman by the name of Trey Traynor, says that with what he's seen so far, not even hard evidence yet, just what he's seen, all these allegations, all these little fucking discrepancies and inaccuracies across the country, he believes that voter fraud did in fact happen. Now, we're not saying that there was voter, they're not saying that it was enough voter fraud to overturn the election, although I believe it is. Okay, because when you strip out the illegal votes, I believe Trump wins this by a fucking landslide. Not just a landslide, but a big landslide. Okay, now that brings me to my second lead attorney, Sidney Powell. Okay, like I said, pay attention to this lady. Okay, she doesn't say anything she can't prove. She's that type. All right, so if she says something, you best believe that she's got some fucking ace in her back pocket. All right, so Sidney Powell. She's a force to be reckoned with. Now, she has affidavits from Dominion employees. Now, Dominion is the company that basically provided the voter count software in certain states. See, now, every state gets to pick, I guess, what software company they want to use to electronically count the votes. This is the walk-in ballots. This is the mail-in ballots. It's all ballots, okay? They get counted electronically. Now, get this shit. Okay, Dominion is a foreign-owned company. It's headquartered. It's a subsidiary of another company. So Dominion's a subsidiary of another company, and I can't for the life of me remember the name, Safe something or whatever. So the company Dominion is headquartered, believe it or not, in Canada, and they share office space with another company owned by George Soros. Now, apparently George Soros is a big contributor to Dominion. Wait, gets better. So Canada refuses to use Dominion for any of their elections, even though it's considered a Canadian company, because the company is known for having fucking software defects. It's considered to be hackable. Now, Dominion is owned by a company out of Europe. Like I said, Safe something or whatever. I'm sure you could Google it. You'll find it. They are based in Spain. They warehouse their servers, their offsite servers in Germany. And they have ties to Venezuela, Argentina, and China. Now, why is this important? Well, Dominion originally developed the software for the president of Venezuela, because he wanted to be able to rig his elections, so to ensure that he'd never lose an election. So they came up with this fucking voter software. Okay, this isn't speculation. This isn't me making up stories. This was actually on the press conference. I suggest you Google it if you can find it still. But just to give you a quick little rundown, because I just want you to see where I'm going with this. So, bottom line is, the software is designed to be rigged, to rig an election. That's the purpose of it. So it has an algorithm. You program who you want to win, and then certain amount of votes come in, and then they start to flip votes over, and then certain more votes come in. So in this case, a certain amount of votes for Trump were programmed to come in, and then once it hit that threshold, bang, it would switch over to Biden votes or whatever the case may be. I don't know the exact algorithm how it supposedly works. However, they didn't anticipate the fact that Trump was going to get so many fucking votes at one time, I guess, or whatever. So that's why they stopped the count, because the algorithm shut the software down. They stopped the count at 2:30 because Trump had too many votes. So they had to play catch up. So they used the mail-in ballots as insurance to catch up, and then they were able to flip certain votes over to Joe Biden, according to this. Okay? Now, as I said, the software is designed to be hacked. It's designed to be rigged. There's back doors into the software that you can go in and change votes and so on and so forth. So they have affidavits from Dominion employees, former Dominion employees, people who were there in the count precincts or whatever, attesting to this. Okay, it's a signed affidavit. It's evidence. So I'm sure she has some more bombshell information. She's just not going to share it with the press. She'll share that with the judge. So I can't wait to see what the fuck this lady's got in the next coming weeks. Now, I'm going to tell you something pretty interesting. I mentioned the servers are located in Germany. Now, the other night, I think it was like Tuesday night, something like that, I was reading something online where there was a military raid. Now, the article didn't say if it was a U.S. military raid, what kind of military raid it was. It was just a military raid on one of these Dominion offices that had servers in it, okay? And the information that they got out of the server, now I don't know who's in possession of it. Now, Sidney Powell did mention it, but she didn't specify who was in possession of this information, but a reporter had asked her, and she said, yeah, that did happen. A military raid did happen. We haven't gotten our hands on the information yet. That's basically bottom line what she said. So, just said, I don't know if good people have it now or bad people or whatever. But here's what was on the net, okay? Apparently, according to the servers, they had raw information before, the information that came in before the software changed it. And it shows that not only did Donald Trump win, but he won by 410 electoral votes. Check this out. Okay? So, as you could see by that photo, all right, all of these states went red. Even fucking California went red, which has never happened. I don't know when the last time California went red was, but, and they say, this is what it would have been had Dominion not interfered. So, my thing is this, that they have some really good evidence because they seemed a little too confident. Okay, they were very cocky. They were very confident. And that's a good thing for attorneys to be that way because that means they got some stone cold evidence. So here's where their legal strategy comes into play. So they're going to show voter deficiencies. They're going to show voter fraud. They're going to show incohesive voter performance in different counties. Every county was treated differently, okay? What they're not trying to do, which is where the media seems to be getting this wrong, is they're not trying to prove that these votes were fraudulent. Well, let me rephrase that. They're not trying to get the votes overturned because they don't have the time for that, okay? You have a short window here. So in the time constraint that they have, it's a double-edged sword for them. Okay, they're not going to they're not pushing for the votes to be overturned. They're pushing to prove that there was voter fraud and inconsistencies and that this election was severely compromised so that they can get the Electoral College to not certify the votes. Follow me. Okay, by bringing enough proof before a judge, if they can convince an electoral official in that state to not certify the vote, gets kicked over to the Supreme Court. Okay? Where the Supreme Court, after congressional investigation, will make a ruling. Trump will win. If that doesn't happen, if these get thrown out of the state court, if the judges, let's say they got a fucking crazy Democratic judge, right? And it dismisses this information, Giuliani's team can now appeal to the federal Supreme Court, which now they got to bring this evidence before the Supreme Court judges. Trump wins. You see my point? It's a very, very fucking simple yet brilliant legal strategy. So, bottom line here is, don't count the president out yet. If you watch this with an open mind, watch Giuliani's press conference. You hear some of these allegations, and it makes sense. And it's mind-blowing. It's staggering. And the fact that the press is not really providing any coverage for this, you got to ask yourself why. If the Democrats had nothing to worry about, Biden's people had nothing to fucking worry about, they would say, yeah, go ahead, count till your fucking faces blow. We'll be here on the 20th. No. They're right away. They're panicking. Okay? They're constantly saying, Trump should concede. Trump should concede. Trump should do this. Trump should. Why? I wouldn't. Hey, listen. I got news for you. 73 million fucking people voted for this guy. Okay? We're not going to let him concede. Even if he wanted to, he can't. So, bite the bullet, bitches, and just fucking deal with it, and let's see what happens. Okay? I'm excited to see what happens. I got to tell you, I was feeling a little some kind of way about this, but now that I see this evidence and I heard these allegations and I see their legal strategy laid out, I'm like, this is fucking brilliant. Even Alan Dershowitz, a Harvard law professor or principal, he's a law professor, I believe in Harvard. He even said, he goes, yeah, no, Trump will win this. And he's a Democrat. He's the Clinton's cleanup guy. So there you go. As far as Giuliani, like I said, not a big fan. I think he did a great job. He was very concise, to the point. He seemed he seemed coherent, which is a good thing. He was even funny at some points. I mean, he was sarcastically funny, which I like. But he was funny. He was doing a fantastic job until he started fucking sweating profusely, and then his goddamn hair dye started running down his face. Rudy, come on, baby. What are you doing? I mean, you're Italian. You're from the neighborhood. You got to do the right thing. You got to represent us right, okay? You know, either get good hair dye or stop dyeing your hair. First of all, shave that fucking melon. I don't know what you're dyeing. He looks, I mean, he's got a head like an almond. Just shave it. So yeah, his hair dye started running down his face. Take a look. I mean, you can't make this shit up. Okay, so next stop on the crazy train, Chicago. Chicago, one of my favorite cities next to New York, is closed now for COVID. Yeah, they're closing for COVID. I don't know for how long. I think they said 30 days. You know, E.T., their fucking mayor, you know, she doesn't really have a plan or a clue. And now so is Philadelphia. Philly's closed too. I mean, the whole fucking city is closed. Imagine this shit. And yeah, one better for you in Philly. They go one step further because, you know, Philly's Philly. They want you to now wear masks. In Philadelphia, they want you to wear masks now in your home. Yeah, you heard me. In the home. First of all, how the fuck are you going to even enforce that? That's just... I'd like to know who was fingering their asshole when they came up with that fucking thought. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to make them all wear masks inside the house. Well, are you fucking nuts? I mean, first of all, listen. Okay? The fucking masks don't work. Now, I get it. You got to wear it because you can't get into any place now because Cuomo made that fucking mandate. Okay, so you gotta go along to get along. But bottom line is the fucking masks don't work. Yeah, and I can prove my point. Okay? You like science? Follow the science. So, for the last 8 months, that's how long Corona's been visiting us from China. For the last 8 fucking months, we've been social distancing. We've been wearing masks, gloves, sanitizing this, that, And guess what? Now fucking Corona's spiking again. So if the masks worked, okay? If the social distancing worked, would we be having fucking spikes right now? Personally, aside from the fact that the masks don't work, I'm going to tell you something else. I think all this fucking sudden hysteria about, you know, Corona cases spiking is sleight of hand. Because for the couple of weeks leading up to the election, nobody got the coronavirus. There were no new cases reported. There was no spikes. There was no nothing, no bullshit. The world was a happy place. Right after the election, when all these allegations started to come to fruition, all of a sudden, fucking Corona spiking all over the place. Coincidental? Or maybe not. Sleight of hand. Just like the impeachment was sleight of hand. Let's try to impeach the president on some bullshit to detract from the fact that Joe Biden actually committed quid pro quo in fucking Ukraine. Just my 2 cents. Okay? Going up to the West Coast, good old California now has introduced a mandatory curfew statewide from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. So again, there's the magical number 10, and 5 is a multiple of 10. So apparently the coronavirus comes out at 10 o'clock and hangs around till 5 in the morning and then goes away. So from 6 to 9, you're okay. Okay? So that wacko in fucking California, Newsom, decided this was a good idea. So everybody has to be in their house locked down at 10 o'clock. Businesses, everything's closed in California at 10 o'clock. And you can't come out of the house till 5 a.m. Okay? Otherwise, they will arrest you for it. Imagine this shit. You know, they call this something. Communism. I mean, that's kind of how Nazi Germany started. But, hey, what do I know, right? Okay, so that's California. Next stop on the crazy train. We're going back to the Big Apple, baby. Okay, here we go. Woo, woo! New York City. Has anyone seen the fucking Rockefeller Center Christmas tree? I thought this was a joke. I saw this on the news. I almost fucking died laughing. I couldn't fucking control myself. It's the fucking Charlie Brown Christmas tree. Okay, I gotta show you pictures. Okay, so here's the before picture. All right, here it is. It's in Oneonta, upstate. Nice, happy, full, beautiful. All right, ready? And then this is what happened to it after fucking de Blasio sent his fucking crew of mutants up there to cut it down. I mean, what the fuck did they do to this tree? Look at it. They fucked this thing up. I can't even believe. Here it is side by side. Okay? First of all, he would have been better off going to the local Home Depot, hiring a fucking truckload of Mexicans and sending them up to Oneonta. I mean, they know how to cut down trees. Okay? I don't know what he said, fucking blind. And then there was an owl in the tree. It's all good. It's all stripped. Yeah, the fucking things are missing from it. They can't even erect this tree up. The way they cut it, they can't even put it in the stand because it's too heavy on one side. I mean, it's a disaster. It's a fucking disaster. I mean, this tree is the perfect visual testament as to how fucking incompetent this city's administration is. I mean, I can't fucking believe it. It's just, how are you even going to hang lights on this? I mean, this thing looks like Al Roker's ass. I don't understand how this fucking happens. But there you go. That's the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree. Merry Christmas, New York. Now, on for your sports update. Well, the Giants won their third game of the season, beating the Philadelphia Eagles and thusly moving up to second place in the division. Okay? They are only 2 losses behind the first place Philly Eagles. So what does this mean? Well, I'll tell you. It means a fucking team that went 3-7, okay, out of the season can still make the fucking playoffs in this piece of shit division. That's what that means. Okay? 3-7. They won 3 games, lost 7, and they can still make the fucking playoffs. The Eagles are 3-5. And I think the Foreskins and the fucking Cowboys are tying for last at 2-7. I mean, this is what kind of piece of shit division that they're in. This year is so fucked up that I would not be surprised if the goddamn Giants ended up winning the fucking Super Bowl. Okay, which I don't know if that would make me happy or not. Because it's fucking beyond stupid. You go 3-7 and you're fucking in second place. That's how bad this fucking division is. Now, a couple people I heard this morning tested positive for the coronavirus on the Giants. I don't know if that's good or bad. But thankfully they have a bye week, so we'll see what happens next week. Maybe they'll remember how to play football then too. So we'll see. So, I got a question. You know me, I like to, wander around and make observations, and sometimes my brain goes into fucking overdrive. But, since Halloween, all I've been seeing is like Christmas shit. It's like it came earlier this year, and people go, "Oh, it's because we need a little joy. We need some extra joy because the coronavirus is making us sad." Like, people are putting fucking lights up on the house already. Like, I mean, people were decorating on Halloween for Christmas. Okay, like everywhere you go now is Christmas. They started playing Christmas music on the radio early. Usually they wait till like after Thanksgiving to do that, right? And now they're doing it now because they're saying, well, we need a little extra joy because because coronavirus. And I'm like, but what the fuck with this Christmas shit? Okay, I mean, why are we concerned about Christmas? You could get booked for fucking manslaughter for celebrating Thanksgiving. We're worried about Christmas. You're like a serial killer at that point if you're having a Christmas, Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. Get got. So what the fuck? Okay? We're worried about Christmas. We're going to have a socially distant Santa Claus? Okay? You can take pictures next to Santa Claus suffocating in a plastic box? That's not going to be traumatic for the kids. Here's your Christmas picture. Why is Freddy crying, Mommy? Santa Claus died in the fucking box an hour and a half ago. They can't get him out. I mean, are you fucking kidding me? Seriously, they're going to put Santa Claus in a plexiglass box in the fucking mall? I mean, you really want this fat fuck coming to your house on Christmas Eve now? What if he stopped in China first? Okay? He's going to come down, sneeze all over the house. You're going to wake up in the morning, going to be speaking fucking Mandarin. Okay? I mean, we can put masks on the goddamn reindeer? How the fuck is Rudolph going to be able to light up the sky if he's wearing a fucking mask? You going to put headlights on his antlers? You going to quarantine the fucking elves? No more than 10 elves in the workshop at a time. There's the magical number 10. They gotta keep them, maybe they don't have to be 6 feet apart because they're midgets. So maybe they could 3 feet would work for them, but who knows? Okay? I mean, listen, your elf in the shelf has gotta go. Okay, your elf in the shelf is gonna get corona, come home and fucking kill everybody in the house. Okay? I mean, we can't forget. We can't forget Frosty, the black transgendered snow person. He's got a corncob pipe and a button nose and a detachable carrot dick. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. I mean, we're worried about Christmas. Let's see if we can get through Thanksgiving without, being an enemy of the state or like, I don't know, slaughtering our whole family by sneezing. So, like I said, you can't make this shit up, kids. This is the fucking crazy-ass world we live in. So, on that note, I won't see you till after Thanksgiving. So, have a happy Thanksgiving. This has been your Friday wrap-up, and I'll see you when I see you.